conversation, and this may not be how you thought it was going to be. It's the way that's going to be most comfortable for her, okay, and for you all to listen and learn. And then I might ask some questions, but I'm going to allow her to take the floor and the stage and to do it how she would like to do it. That works? Okay, so we'll support you. When you want to stand up, I'll move the table over, and we'll just talk. So I am Sunny. I am based in Washington, D.C. I am originally from. I am a federally certified law enforcement instructor with the Department of Homeland Security. I have my own criminal consulting firm. I have a TEDx talk. I am the mother. I was once married to a child predator. My children my child was not trafficked, but we were all tricked and traumatized. My daughter is now 25, a mother. Come on in. She hence university, potential doctor, and going into the Air Force and doing whatever else she wants to do, and 17-year-old son who is in custody and care because he doesn't know how to get himself together, and I'm that mom. The work that I do is personal, but it is also professional. I have worked with all of the 3-letter agencies, FBI, HSS, DOL, OVC, all of those, what people think are important. But most of all, I have worked with survivors, victims, and I am a mom on a mission because systems are broken and we need to address those things. So I have actually 30 years in work for the New Jersey Attorney General's Office for the Division of Gaming Enforcement. And this is not new. So human trafficking might be the new word that's about 20 years old, but this whole thing that's going on, this is not new. This is not new. We have always had victims. We have always had survivors. We have always had people that look like you that we didn't even know were out there on the ground stomping. But now that you're all in the room and you're all connected and you know who's in the room, the challenge is, how do you do the work together? And how do we make it comfortable for survivors? Because I am sitting with a survivor. I always think terms matter. But she has a voice that still resonates in some victimization, and we're just gonna make her comfortable. Everybody okay? Yeah. Oh, so my daughter was 7, and I didn't know what to do then. So everything sometimes I do is just in the moment, like we're doing right now. And she took the witness stand at 8. So sometimes things happen in a moment when you're working with victims and survivors, right? You kind of got to go with the flow and bend with the water. So we're bending, flowing, and you're in a safe space.
Hi, thanks for listening to me. I guess the first thing I want to say is that most victims of trafficking don't have a voice.
Oh, excuse me. Don't take her picture unless you ask, and don't share it unless you ask. Okay? I'm framing the room up some for everybody. I know you all are experts, but sometimes we forget.
Most victims of trafficking don't have a voice. So the fact that I have a voice right now means that I wasn't badly trafficked to the point where I'm dead or where I'm they will try to jail people. If they can't murder you when you try to escape trafficking, another form of murder is social murder. They will try to murder the victims by throwing them in prison so that they don't have a voice, or destroying their reputation. So I guess I'm very lucky I have a voice. I'm really grateful. And the pastor here 2 days ago gave a speech he was speaking in this room about how to heal from trauma and the stages. And the first step was to get safe. And as of this moment, I might be safe at this point in time, but I am required to return to an area where I had a sex trafficking case number with the Department of Justice in 2011, 2012. When I started traveling the country, I lived in an artistic community, and I worked other jobs. I worked programming jobs, computer technician jobs. I was a music teacher. I lived in Uptown. My neighbors were artists. And one of my neighbors came to my door and said there was an oil rush in North Dakota in 2011, 2012. And I had already had a bartending experience, and that if you danced or bartended, you were making at least $500 to $2,000 a night. And I wanted to get out of student loans, so I went out there on my own, not knowing how dangerous it was, like where the ratio of men to women was 9 to 1. And I didn't know what the definition of trafficking. I had never heard of trafficking. I just saw things that didn't seem right. That you know, like my gut told me what was going on was wrong, but I wasn't aware at the time what trafficking actually was. And a modern form of kidnapping today is the criminals get smarter, which is why I kind of feel hopeless when it comes to trafficking, because if people pass laws banning trafficking in one form, if trafficking is organized crime, all they do is find another way to traffic, and traffickers make what they do look legitimate. So one form of trafficking in the northern states like North Dakota and South Dakota was to try to, for the trafficker to get the victim into a felony system. Like, for example, if they saw a woman jogging and they could punch holes in cars and then call the police and say, I saw this woman, describe the woman jogging in the red sports bra or whatever, and get her to be arrested and charged with, especially with the felony, and this is a displaced person that's from way far away, and there's no support system there. And by doing that, they manipulate our own government and police to traffic their victims through that system. And so there's millions of ways to traffic people, and when I traveled over 20 states alone, I was exposed to a lot of different ways. In Chicago, there's pizza and taco delivery services that they don't deliver pizza and tacos to a door. They deliver a body to a door for sex, and it's a trafficked victim. They trick cleaning ladies. They'll say, we need cleaning jobs in hotel rooms, and there will be a trafficker there. And use threats of the police, even though the police aren't supposed to be used to help organize crime, they will use the police in a way that gets this person to do things that are against their own interests, which is why the trafficking victims are often punished, because they're punished for the crimes that the trafficker has instilled on them, because it involves a high level of tricking. So I compare what I'm dealing with right now is, because I'm forced to go back to an area where I had already been traumatized for trafficking and already received treatment, I compare it to like having like cutting my hand open really badly, or having a wound and I go to the hospital and get it stitched up. But when I go back there, somebody rips out the stitches and my wound is opened up again. And so it is, at this point, it's not, I'm incapable of healing or forgiving until I'm completely safe from ever going back to this area where these kidnapping and trafficking attempts occurred. And I don't know how other people feel for the victim mindsets, but most victims can't go to the police, and they can't really go to anybody. It's gotten so corrupt. There are non-for-profit trafficking organizations that will house victims of trafficking and re-traffic them. They'll house 30 women in a hotel room, and at night those 30 women are going out to all of those hotel rooms with men, and so they're not doing anything. They're saying that they're stopping trafficking, but they're actually just perpetuating the problem. And so finding which facilities, like not being able to trust anybody, I think would be the victim mindset.
All right. Okay, this is not a matter of whether it's okay. Tell your truth, okay? Okay, I'm gonna let you take a break. Okay? All right.
So I'm going to give her a break so I can come back and, did you all understand what she was trying to say?
Yes.
I'm not talking about her words. I'm talking about how, in context of institutionalized systems, which continue to oppress and then engage in the practice of re-victimization of a victim who has been tricked, traumatized, and trafficked. That is some work that I have done, and for this very reason. Now, I did say I was a law enforcement instructor, and we have psychiatrists, psychologists, medical professionals, experts on the witness stand. We have former FBI agents. We have people that have varying stories. We have organizations in here, government, faith-based led. Yesterday I did a talk on faith and institutionalized systems that continue to victimize. What happens sometimes in our efforts to help actually hinder and hurt, because we are looking from the lens of, oh, we got this. We have it all solved. We have the policy, we have the practice, we have law enforcement, and anytime you got law enforcement, then you got it all together. Wrong. Trainers of law enforcement, we know. Okay, there's a culture, and that's not well. Pastor, we were talking, so let's engage.
Yes, would you tell the story that you told to me yesterday about how some churches will bring in traffic victims and then essentially traffic them for donations?
Oh, yes. We were having this conversation about, a lot of times what happens in our faith-based, which in the United States are largely Christian. Okay, so I am a woman of faith. I'm not picking out a particular religion. However, I am identifying some facts that most faith-based organizations working with law enforcement who are identified as the go-to agency and organization, they happen to be what? Christian, right? Okay, so if you guys don't like the truth, then you're probably not hear me, but you hear and listen. And what happens is, so anytime we're doing something, we want to have a victims panel, is what I heard one of my former FBI friends say. And I said, no, we're never going to have a victims panel. You mean a survivors panel? But what happens in the church, every time they tell their story, what happens? She just told you. It's just re-victimization. And then when you're bringing them in and they're not there, and then they're telling the story and everybody's getting all emotional, what do you think is happening to them? So they're literally re-victimizing them, and then how much money, where's the amount of compensation to help them with their care and cure in their way to get over this?